once again, the presenter of this, certainly we don't have anybody here from Tessie, we don't have anybody here from Xerox. I know the board is aware that Tessie Plastics out of Skinny Atlas, we found out about this through a press release back at the end of October that their intention is to buy approximately 110 acres on the current Xerox campus. That acreage has about 1.5 million square feet of building space in it. I did find it kind of interesting is that having come from the residential mortgage industry, 60 days from making an offer on a house to closing is about what you do with a single family house in New York, right, Charlie?
If you're lucky, yeah.
So I kind of found it funny, and I've said it on a couple of the Zoom meetings and whatever with the Tessie and Xerox people, is that, I mean, 60-day time frame between a purchase offer and a closing on 110 acres and 1.5 million square feet, that seems like a pretty reasonable time frame. You know, sense sarcasm?
Yeah, I do. I think that seems like kind of a reasonable task.
Yes. Now, I got to give them credit, Eric. I think they're going to potentially they're going to pull it off. And the reason why we as a town got involved with this is that they said that there's really three things that government agencies need to kind of opine on or have actions. The county, something along the lines of their water and putting a meter in, and whether they can do that between two separate parcels owned by two separate companies. And they worked with Monroe County and they got by that. With the town and village, because they are now all of a sudden Xerox isn't going to own this 110 acres anymore, it just made sense in the way it's situated up there in Caracas that the village needs to take dedication on about 4,300 foot of sewer main that currently is owned privately by Xerox. In the town, it needs to take a dedication of 2,500 foot of main that is currently owned by Xerox. I'd like to think, Charlie and Art, that I think we're there on that too.
I think so too. So back at the beginning, I've been working with Xerox quite a bit on this. Our first request in Denise and I call was we needed water meters installed. That's the only way we can actually accurately bill them for their usage. So our contact there, Bill, he was somewhat good with it. I helped him explore some other options, but that's sort of what we wanted to go for. We did also ask for a camera video of the main. They did that. They got that done the next week. We reviewed that, and we went back through that.
How was it?
Tooth and nail. My recommendation for it was to realign the pipe.
Okay.
We didn't need it. It had a lot of iodine, a lot of cracks, things like that. We don't need another main to repair. It seemed like they were very agreeable with that. I went back and I evaluated all 9 of the manholes. 7 of them needed some work. Some were, needed some gravel out. But some needed rehab. Worked with Bill, gave him 2 contacts to work with.
And that's Bill Carpenter.
Bill Carpenter.
From Xerox.
Yeah.
Bill Ash.
Yeah, Bill Carpenter.
For those watching at home.
From our conversation, from what he had said about the lining was well within their budget, I think we're going to do good. I did confirm with him, I think that supervisor saw the email, just confirming a few things that on our end we're all good. We gave them everything we needed. I think what I haven't heard back from him about was the manholes. I know he went and got 3 prices. So I think on our end, I think we're really in good shape.
I think we are. Sorry, go ahead.
They're going to ask us to take dedication.
Yes.
Before we even think about taking dedication, that stuff all has to be done. You can't say they're going to go do it, and us take dedication, then it's not done for whatever reason. I don't want the town exposed to it. So my position as a board member is that work has to be done and verified that it's done before this board acts on taking dedication.
So those are my recommendations for my department, how and how that is handled at the board level or with Supervisor Charlie, you know, one of the suggestions was brought up, you know, like some sort of guaranteed maintenance fund or something like that.
Well, we did discuss this recently.
Bill,
That would be reasonable, a maintenance bond, a bond of some sort.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and rather than force them to go do that this minute, as long as we have.
Bill's concern is something we agree with and we were already
yeah.
cognizant of.
Right, but the reality of getting it done,
Prior to them closing before the end of the
prior
month.
to them closing and getting this done is probably unrealistic, but I think if we have some sort of maintenance bond.
It's interesting because Bill, along what you said, which makes complete sense, you know, it's the old possessions, nine tenths of the law, it spawns off of that. My last conversation with Bill Carpin, which was yesterday, he said that they probably won't do the lining until July or August of next year. Art, you agreed with that because of the low water level or the...
Correct. So both Jake and I agreed with that. We would have the best possible outcome because it would be less instance for
Right.
ion. It would dry. So July, and obviously the dry time of the year.
Right. So what's going to be interesting is that the way they let off with this, so to speak, remember 60 days. What could go wrong, right? It's just a simple 110 acre, 1.5 million, you know, we'll get it all set in 60 days. Their initial statement was, we want you to take dedication in parallel or before the closing. And I think we're getting to the point now where it's like, that's going to be difficult to do unless just the way it's papered up. Because if you're closing on December 31st, which remains to be seen, we know they can't get the work done by December 31st. But what situation, how do we do it where Xerox and Tessie are fine with it, but we're fine with it? Is it one of those things where we're like, okay, you know, we'll take dedication once the work is done, so we're the one basically going out and, you know, guaranteeing to them in some way that once you do the work and we're happy with it, we'll take dedication. That's 6 months, 7 to 8 months after the closing is set. We're, you know, I don't know how they're going to approach that. If they're like, well, wait, why don't you take dedication and, you know, we'll give you a guarantee maintenance, whatever, that we're going to get the work done in July or August. And, you know, what risk position does that put us
Yeah,
in?
we have to discuss this,
And,
because there's going to be some conditions, obviously.
There's, Art, you've been on the calls, Patty, you've been on the calls. I think I've been pretty clear with Xerox that, you know, we'll work with you. We don't want to be the reason why progress is held up on this closing. But we're not going to work with you at the expense of the town today and in the future. I got to tell you, I think Art did a fantastic job of holding the line on what we were willing to accept as repairs on this 2,500 foot
Yep.
pipe. And, you know, and it worked out to our advantage. It really did, because I think they were kind of posturing at first, God bless them, it's a business deal. We'll just go and caulk it. And Art said, no, that's, you know, we can't do that. And I'm really glad you did hold that, because then once, you know, they said, well, okay, if you're going to say that you want it all lined and all that stuff, let's go get it priced with these. And you helped them with the different vendors or, you know, to do that. And they came back and said, yeah, what they're going to charge us is in our budget. So it was the right move for us to hold the line. Now we're going to be entering into that, okay, you know, dedication with a guarantee, something from them that they'll do the work in 6 months, or, hey, we'll take dedication in 6 months when the work is done.
Well, a lot of
It's like a letter of credit,
Yeah.
a letter of credit that we would hold.
Just like a developer would put out money
Yeah.
and tell them the bank, we're going to do
Very
the
simple.
same thing for this.
And Bill, to tell you, in our, you know, I mean, we got off a call, there's been so many calls and Zoom meetings on this, a couple weeks ago, we got a call, we were talking about guarantees maintenance back, and they said, well, can you show us what one of these look like? And I said, yeah, I'll get you one over, we'll redact it and make sure that we take out personal information of, whatever. And within 24 hours, I got that over. So they have that. So they have an idea. We've been talking all along about, and they seem to be, it started out a little rocky, but I gotta say, it seems like it's progressing pretty well, that they are gonna, play ball in the way that, you gotta have this make sense for the town and also for them. It can't be 90% for them and 10% for the town.
Is it possible that we could, they could do their closing and we just agree to it, but we won't take dedication? Or excuse, we won't take dedication until the work is done?
I think it is.
Is that possible?
I think it definitely is. And it's all how it's papered up and whatever, so that they, because who controls when the work is done? Them,
Right.
right?
That's,
Okay.
So, interestingly enough, and like I said, it's a fluid situation, no pun intended. When I talked to Bill Carpin yesterday, he said, you really got the town and village on the sanitary sewer, you got the county on the water, and you have the state, the Department of Public Services with the state on the power, on the electricity on the campus. Now, this is above my pay grade, but Bill or Barry or somebody who has dealt with this stuff before, there's a substation that's on the campus that apparently there's something in the law that once now you have two owners, you're going to have Tessie owning this and Xerox owns on the other side. I guess you can't. All right. Well, there's something in it. Like I said, I wrote as fast as Bill was talking, but they have a meeting next week with the state, with RG&E, this and that, and they're hoping that basically common sense will prevail because there's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of buried lines there, a lot of whatever. And it's, I'll use the term, if there's a variance type thing that just allows it to happen. If not, Bill thinks it could be tens of millions of dollars that would be mandated that Xerox puts into building a new substation or whatever for Tessie for their 110 acres. I don't want to say that, Bill said that, not me.
Well, we're not privy to their contract.
We are not.
To answer your question, Barry, about whether this may be a condition that they have to get all sorts of approvals from the town, I don't know what it says in their contract between the two of them. What are we talking about in terms of labor and materials for the line?
He had told me the price he got, which obviously wasn't prevailing wage, was about $215 to find the pipe. And if I'm looking at anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000 to fully rehab a manhole, and all of them don't need to be fully rehabbed. So if you want to take that another $30,000.
So 2.25 or 2.5.
Call it 2.5.
Now you said that's not prevailing.
That's not prevailing
So
wage,
if
that's
they
the
do
prices they
it,
got.
prevailing wage is not an issue.
Correct.
That's how we're interpreting it, because that came up as that, hey, look, we're not doing the work.
Well, what happens-
And
what
that might
happens-
have something to do with.
We get the letter of
dedication.
credit or the bond, whatever it is, that guarantees that there's going to be payment. Do we then have to pay for prevailing wage?
If we own the pipe. And if we own the pipe at that point, I'm going to assume so, because we are the
So
owner.
that, so
But again,
we're
I'll
going
look
to
to you
need more
guys
than
for
the
that.
cost. I'm just thinking ahead, we're going to
Yeah.
need more than the
I-
cost.
Only if we do the project.
Yeah, and-
Okay, so that was the question.
right.
As long as the private company is doing the project, we don't have to pay.
No, that's
Even though-
But
correct.
that-
What happens if they don't do it, they stop in the middle or whatever,
So-
and they're going
and
halfway
that's
through?
Let's go back to Bill.
The bond.
The bond.
To me, and I'm talking to Bill yesterday, Bill Carpin, not Bill Abbott, I think the reason why it's going to be easy to get the agreement where we'll take dedication after you do the work is it makes it cleaner on that prevailing wage thing, is that, well, it's your pipe. You're a private company, you're going out, you don't have to have prevailing wage, you do the work, which they said they're gonna do. And then once it's done and we inspect and it's done, then we take dedication, and that prevailing wage is not an issue.
That would be cleaner.
yes, that would be a lot cleaner.
And I think they know that. So it's funny because, I say funny, I said to Bill Carpin yesterday, I said, I don't want this to be a hollow statement, but is there anything that myself or the town can do to help in this situation? Not the sewer, the thing that next week when they meet about the state and all that. And, you know, I said, if you want, I mean, we could reach out to State Assembly Person Lunsford, we could reach out to State Senator Hellman, and he was appreciative of that. You know, he thought that might, because that really seems to be, and it's not our purview. The state, that power, and that electricity and stuff, at least from what I'm hearing right now, is potentially what could hold up the closing by the end of the year. He did say, if they get past that meeting next week, they'll send over, you know, at that point, an offer of dedication. And I wrote that down, like, you'll send us an offer of dedication. Okay. And I think that's when the conversation will start going, you know, hey, look, if you want to take prevailing wage and that issue off the table, this is really simple. We'll take dedication once you do the work and it's acceptable work, and because, you know, that'll be that. No.
That's the sewer part.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What about the road?
Well, the road is still private. Caracas is still private.
You know,
Within this, there is in the easement and meets and bounds that have to be done for you, right, Art?
Correct, there'll be a 40-foot pipe easement over that.
Yeah.
Over that.
Is that what you meant by the road?
No.
well, the condition of it.
You know, we've talked about
Condition of
what,
Caracas?
yeah, we've talked about possibly taking those roads, the village taking what's in there and us taking, or the two of us working together to take dedication to the roads, but it would have to be,
It's funny, what we've been talking about is dedication of roads south of Caracas. I want to say Mitchell Dean and San Jose and, you know, federal grants and all that. We never talked about Caracas. Caracas dead ends.
Correct, but if they don't want to turn that into a dedicated roadway,
Bill, they have not said anything to
That's
us
gonna have to
about
be a
that.
different
You know, that might be something that,
I'm just
you know, and Bill, maybe we'll
Our-
end up
our
talking
policy-
to Tessie about that. Would we want that road?
our policy,
I don't think so, but
our policy has always been, when we've been requested to take dedication to private roads, is they have to upgrade or meet our standards as is.
Well, unless, and I'll take it at face value, unless there's some midnight thrown in that request. Art, have you ever heard them say on our calls that they're looking for the town to take Caracas?
No, I'd ask them flat out. They do not want it. That is not part of
that's fine. I
this
just want
project
to
at
make
all. No,
sure.
because I know the town had talked to them, and I wanted to actually clarify for myself, because that is where the easement would come in. They did not want.
I'm glad you are.
Not
I mean,
because
because
change your mind.
that would significantly change the deal. I don't know about their deal, like you said, we're not privy to their deal between the two private companies buying it. But if you came to the town that late in the game and said, oh yeah, by the way, you do need to take dedication to that road,
No.
No, it's significant work.
yeah, I don't think they're not gonna come.
That's fine. I just
That would be, so,
anyway,
anyway.
only question.
So I would be surprised if next week we're doing some resolution or series of resolutions on anything pertaining to that sale. But I'll reserve judgment on that, because I don't know if they'll want something from the board that gives comfort or whatever to them closing on the deal on 12/31. I don't know. And like I said, that meeting with the state next week, if that doesn't provide resolution to the issue, then, you know, I hope it doesn't kill the deal, but it might delay it. And who knows if it delays it, because I think Tessie's already moved in.
You got me.
I think Tessie wanted pre-possession and started moving staff That's the discussions we're having, now whether that is
Is this a
actually
production facility or just a warehouse?
So,
It depends on what you, in that question, what they're gonna do with it day one is not a production facility. What they are saying is their plan, right, Art, is to, especially building 200 is the almost million square foot building. Empty. That, I think, is what they intend to create into a production facility. But not in the next probably 1 to 3 years is my guess, the way they were discussing.
Okay. Just